Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Matt with Green Bar Trading here. Welcome back to another weekly watch list video where I'll go over everything that we should know for the week ahead. Up on your screen, there's your earnings for the week. So we're starting earnings season with the banks. This is going to be a very interesting earnings season. All these other earnings, there's been a lot of good news baked in. There's been a lot of expectations for earnings to keep growing. So we need to pay attention and see what these companies are saying. And we always start there with the banks and the airlines. So right up there on the screen are your earnings for the week. All right, so now going over to our economic calendar. Very important for when you're trading, you want to know what is coming up in the week. But before we look at this coming week, let's look at last week, because on Friday we had that big jobs number. We saw 254,000 jobs created in the month of September. They were thinking 150. So they were off by roughly 80% on their estimates. Not a surprise, but that is a huge beat. Unemployment ticked down to 4.1%. They were expecting 4.2. Hourly wages went up a little bit. So, all in all, it was a really, really robust jobs number. And what is good news now for the economy is good news for the market. It used to be bad news for the economic data was good news for the market, because the more bad news that was coming in, the odds of the Fed lowering the interest rates were, in play. That's no longer the case. So right now, when you get good news, that's good news for the stock market. All right. It gets a little tricky, but if you've been doing this a while, that makes sense to you guys if you're paying attention to that. So that is last week. This coming week, all right, we have a lot of Fed speakers speaking. We also have that CPI on Thursday. So that's going to be a big one. You have the minutes of the FOMC meeting on Wednesday, also pretty decent market mover, and you have the PPI on Friday. That's the producer price index, and then you have the consumer price index. And what do we look at? We look at the core. They want to get that back down to 2% year over year. The inflation has been coming down, so that's a good thing. But right there, that's pretty much what I'd be looking at for your economic calendar for the week. Now, if we go over to FinViz here and we look at the groups, we could take a look at the sectors and how they performed on the week. You had energy, a big one. Now, a lot of that has to do with what's going on in the Middle East, but also getting really good jobs numbers like that is good for that. So that was up pretty decent, 6%. Everything else was kind of in line, nothing crazy. But on the one day, you had financials. So financials went up a lot. They have earnings this coming week. What is that telling you? Expecting some good things with the jobs numbers, the economy, all that kind of stuff. So that's your sectors there for the week. If we go back to that home screen, you can see this is the kind of stuff that I look at right here, is what were those top gainers for Friday, and seeing if we get any continuation on Monday from them. Those are the more so the low float stocks, but sometimes you'll have some other decent stocks in here, like EVgo was a big one. This was up almost 100% in 2 days. So this is all kind of stuff that I like to at least keep on a side screen to see if they get that continuation. All right, so now going over to the SPY. This is the S&P 500 ETF, and this is the last year of trading, okay? Each one of these candlesticks and volume bars represents 1 day of trading. So looking here, we're just about at all-time highs again. Now, you got to be kind of careful, because the last time that we did this, which was right about this time here, okay, and I'll zoom in a little bit, we were coming in on Sunday making our weekly watch list video, and everything was looking good with this candle. And then on Monday, we sold off for the week. All right, so, it is a great looking candle. That's a great looking bullish hammer candlestick right here. looking for a breakout, right? But it didn't happen here. It took some time to recycle. And then eventually we broke out. And then price used that previous resistance as support. Now, I want to show you guys something interesting. The indicators on my screen are the 20 EMA here in the blue. I have the 50-day moving average, and I have the 200-day moving average here. These to me are what everybody else is looking at. So I want them on my screen. Now, take a look at the 20 EMA. Every time the 20 overtook the 50, right? That was a good time to buy. And then the first pullback was always being supported by the 20, and then a continued move higher. Right here, you have the 20 retaking over the 50, the pullback to the 20, we went higher. Again, right here, you're overtaking the 50, and the first pullbacks right here. You see what I'm saying here? So it doesn't have to repeat itself, but usually patterns in the stock market will start to do stuff like that. All right, so that's a good sign here. There's a potential for future move higher, as we've seen in all these previous cases of when the 20 does retake that 50. So that's something to keep in mind. Now, the volume this past week was not that great. Now, I would have expected a little bit more volume here on Friday with that big jobs number, and we just didn't see it. Now, there was holidays and maybe some, people took off that Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So that's possible. But I would have liked to see a little bit more volume here before getting really comfortable on a potential breakout. But that's just something that I noticed there on the SPY. Going over to the QQQ, this is our NASDAQ ETF. Now, this one is setting up for higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, and possibly, so you have the higher low here, possibly going up to all-time highs here. That's now a possibility. We weren't looking good when we didn't make that higher high back here, came down, but held up. So now we broke this little trend line here, and we're looking decent, bouncing off the 20 EMA here. We had decent volume on Friday, and it looks like it was kind of a rangy day. So again, bullish hammer here, but basically closing where it opened up for the day. And, we'll see if we can get that next move up. But right now, that's just what we're looking at here on this. You had the 20 coming over the 50 and then using it as support, which is what we showed you on the S&P 500. All right, so that's it. If you're trading around earnings, just keep in mind if you trade options, you need that big move in your favor because you will get that IV crush if it doesn't move out of your options. So, have a good time trading. Hit the thumbs up. If you're new, subscribe. I'll see you on the next one. Take care, guys.